I was honestly surprised and made an audible gasp when I saw what was in this bag I'm going to show you in just a few minutes here. Now, live performance, concert-related promotional items can sell for some monstrous money, and that is what as well is in this bag. Hey, it's Don. Today we're going to talk about some concert-related promotional items. Stuff that we look for every time we're out. If we're in an antique area or a place that would have vintage items of any kind, even thrift stores can be okay for this. Flea markets for sure. Estate sales are probably one of the best places next to antique flea markets and festivals, I would think. We're talking about promotional items from concerts specifically, performances, live musical performances. There are some out there that can go for some phenomenal money. We're talking $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 for original Beatles performance poster or even a flyer or a handout. Now, what I acquired the other day actually made me give an audible gasp when I first pulled this stuff out of the bag and was looking through it based on the price there. You know, I have less than $100 into all of these. I've got some better ones we'll show you in just a few minutes here. I just pulled a few samples out to do some close-ups on so you can kind of see the type of material. Those in Patreon, you've seen a bunch of these already. YouTube membership, you'll see them as well if you haven't yet. These are promotional flyers from the 30s for jazz performances. Now, I run into concert promotional items all the time, like Elvis programs or things like that. T-shirts once in a while from the 80s and 90s. I have some of my original concert shirts from, you know, back in the late 80s myself. You run into that sort of thing occasionally. Record store posters show up as well. I can sometimes buy them from a few record stores around here, sometimes like 50 pounds at a time. Tons of the same ones, but still some decent money. The best ones, though, are always live performances because it's a one-time thing. It's usually for a concert in one specific city that there's a limited amount available, probably far less than the actual seats in the actual stadium that the musical group performed. I've seen Rolling Stones at the Gator Bowl in Florida. You know, I've seen Guns N' Roses. I've seen Whitesnake. Back in the day, I saw them all. But I, myself, who liked the bands that I saw, never took it upon myself to grab a flyer off a wall. So most of the stuff that is in this bag and in the collection that I purchased, almost 300 items for just under $100, is stuff that wouldn't show up anywhere but a specific location because they're all tied to very specific performances of these folks that are in here. Some very key people, too. It's rare as can be to run into even a concert flyer from the 90s. I went to Pearl Jam on several occasions and I saw the flyers. I remember what they look like, but I have never in my life run into anything like that. None of the alternative 90s. The 80s flyers are long since gone around here anyway. None of the postcards or pamphlets or band brochures or, you know, photo promotional items. Those are all seem to be totally dried up in this area. So when these items showed up at the sale, I let out that gasp that I'm sure other folks heard because I just couldn't believe what I was looking at because it's something rarer than rare can be, even if they're not really famous musicians, all of them. Some are, but even if they're not, they're so scarce to find a flyer from the 30s, early 30s. There's even one or two in there from the 20s. Jazz musicians, people like Fats Waller, Glenn Miller, and some really better key name ones are in here for live performances. We're gonna swing the camera around in a second here and show you something to really look for. They can show up as a brochure. These are all mostly paper as well. A little flyer that's folded in a book or something like that. I found them that way. There's a ton of places to look for these because they can be in many different shapes and sizes. If it's a large piece, it could be rolled up. Usually they're folded. There's postcards sometimes for, you know, hot jazz performers. So, you know, you've got to be very careful and look at every little piece, every paper out there. Bookshelves, as I've said many, many times, at an estate sale are usually one of the places I hit the most. You know, basements are great, attics are great, garages are great. You know, stuff that people stored things in, stuff that wasn't seen every day. It's usually in better condition, hopefully, than the stuff that's scattered out throughout the house. And it's things that many times people missed or didn't assume carried a value. And that's why I was able to purchase these for, geez, 30 cents a piece or so for each one of the almost 300 that I bought. So, you know, it's a killer purchase for something like this if you know what you're looking at. Most people probably hadn't a clue who the folks were who are named on these. I'll show you some close-ups of some in just a minute here, but this is part of the bulk, some of the larger items that were found in the bag that we purchased. Again, it was a lot purchased, take it all or leave it, no pick-throughs or anything else like that. A lot of these names, most of you folks probably have never heard of, but they are folks who have 78 records out, and that is the key for me. I know which 78 sell of the more common folks because I went through them for 20 some odd years of my life. You know, and I grab up the ones that are worth more money. If I can get some money out of a 78, I'm going to sell it. 20 bucks is the bare bones minimum these days. And knowing that this person's 78s can sell for that means that chances are these can go for 2, 3, 4, 5 times what the 78s would go for because these are far scarcer. A 78, they may have pressed 30,000, 100,000, who knows? It depends on how popular the song was. It was released throughout the entire country, you have to realize as well. So these are fairly scarce. Here's a little envelope of some cards, some tickets to get into these. So these are concert tickets included in here to get into the actual concert as well. There's a few postcards, there's some flyers. There's a couple with some autographs on them, which I'll have to dig into because I can't 100% say they are from the band. It's very hard to tell without having someone else look at them. So anyway, it's an incredible lot. Now let's show you just a few of the better ones here. Now, Benny Goodman was a very, very, very well-known performer of the day. He had to be in the top 20, top 30 of the performers for this type of music back then. Gene Krupa you have here, which is a huge, huge, huge person that's highly collectible in the drum world. I mean, he was called the drummer man. I mean, it's just one of those superb players. He was well known in the jazz industry for years and years. There's a huge assortment of folks who collect them. Helen Ward, very, very, very famous for the swing. Something like this, even not in so great condition with a few issues with it, could easily get me 50 bucks, 75 bucks. This one item will pay for the entire purchase. Just this one single piece right here. Here's a couple other ones. Again, handout. Some of these are tickets. They have a price on them in the whole works. So these would all fall into that same era, that same thing. A concert ticket from the right concert can go for $500, $1,000 if it's just some prima one. Even concert tickets from the 80s can get you $200, $300. Now, most of these are swing. They'd be dance related as well. Big band would be a good term to use. Booker Coleman's 14-piece band. These are known people. Every one I'm showing you here is a known person. Pete Moss, known as well. Let's see, what's this one here? Jimmy Ganley's orchestra, Kennedy Warren, the Baltimore Townsmen, and it has a 10-piece band. Very nice illustrated image of a band there. Some of the better ones would be like Fats Waller. Now this one's trimmed, but there are other ones by him in here that are in a little better condition than this. Even in this condition, this could easily be a $100 piece here. It's very rare to find a performance piece from him that was from a live performance like this. So the value's there. You just have to know what you're looking for. It has some information on the back too. It's a midnight cruise on the SS Potomac, so it's got a lot more going on to it than just that. Tickets, reservations. This is a very nice piece. Might be worth 150 bucks. You know, who knows? If you look this type of thing up, you're going to see some from like the Apollo Theater from him with other performers with him that are going for $300 and $400. So, you know, it's open air on this one here. It could easily be worth that much also. But the most interesting, scarcest piece in this entire collection is this Blanche Calloway performance piece here. Direct from Harlem, it says. Hyattville Armory. It's an excellent piece. And if you don't know who Blanche Calloway is, Cab Calloway's sister was far more popular before he ever was. She was the premier female band performer of the day. She broke a lot of ground with her performances, well known. She was actually the Heidi-Ho queen long before Cab Calloway came out and was famous. She has records out which go for some buku bucks. I've personally never seen a promotional item from her until this day. The records are insanely scarce. This could easily be worth hundreds of dollars right here. These are the sorts of things that are going to make you a lot of money. Most people wouldn't even know who Blanche Calloway is. This just looks like a dirty piece of paper. Most people look the other way if this sort of thing is sitting on a table somewhere. So for me, it's an easy pickup. Cheap price, it's bulk. I have almost 300 items for less than $100. Well, that's what I have for you today. Hopefully that gave you some ideas, some thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
I've lost my head about red. The bold, bright, red you get when you use bold. Bold brightens reds with a colorful shower of blue, white, and green, brightening power. Red. I mean exactly what I said. Red.